Welcome back to Ultramorons. I'm your host, as usual, Lane, joined with
Connor, back again.
and we're doing part 2 of Ruinstorm.
Yes.
So we left off last time. They arrived at Davin. So when they're at Davin, and they scan the surface, and they find the Delphos Temple, right? Because that's where Horus was putting the whole hallucinogenic trip, right? The little ayahuasca trip.
Yeah.
And it is sitting at a center of a crater ringed by mountains, but there's nothing here. No activities, no defenders, no sign of enemy anywhere. And the Lion says that. He's like, there's nothing down there. But Sanguinius says, I hardly call that nothing. Like, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
So the Lion says, an empty, dangerous world is to be erased, not investigated. The Lion says, I'm surprised you haven't already proposed it, Reboot. We should launch cyclonic torpedoes without delay. If we destroy Davin, we open the way to Terra. So Lion's getting a little carried away now with this whole blowing up planets thing.
Yeah, I would say the last one was like, oh, this one's overrun by demons. Now it's like, this one's empty. Just blow
it up anyway. Okay, what's the matter? It's space trash.
Okay, all right.
And Sanguinius is like, wait a minute, though. Hold on, though. We don't know that. So he says specifically to Lion, why do you think destroying Davin will defeat the Ruinstorm? Because this is where Horus fell, and this is where the war began. The logic is symbolic. Very well, then, we must follow the symbolism to its end. We must stand on the spot where Horus fell. The Lion isn't moved by it. He says, I think it's a trap. But he says, but every scan says there's nothing there. Usually when there's a trap, we can usually tell it's a trap, and we say we gotta do it anyways. But this time, it doesn't look like one.
Yeah. Well, no, if it was like a warp trap or whatever, would they be able to tell?
They could detect energies, maybe. If it was like, let's say, demons just like hiding underground, they'd be like, there's warp eminence from this. But they're getting nothing. They're getting no skin, no heat signatures, nobody moving, nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a dead world now.
Okay.
So Sanguinius says, remember who Horus was before all of this? He says, how none of them saw the betrayal coming, not even the Emperor. He says, now tell me you are certain there's nothing below. And Guilliman says, I don't know either. He says, I'm not sure, though. Let me think about it. He says, I do want to know what happened to Horus more than anybody. Because, I mean, remember, none of them to them, Horus is like, I'm evil now.
Yeah.
They don't know the whole thing that he went through to become evil.
Right.
Like, nobody even knew he even got hurt. Except for, like, a small handful of people. Like, you think Fulgrim, the people who were on his side, basically. So...
Yeah, and even then, like, they didn't really see, like, anything that happened, right? They didn't see any of the Isfahan stuff, or, like...
Yeah, I mean, they know what happened. They just don't know, like, to them, Horus just one day woke up and was like, I'm going to kill the Emperor.
Yeah.
They don't know about the trip. They don't know that he got tricked. They don't know about the dagger on Davin, right? They don't know about Erebus. Yeah, they don't know. They don't know about anything. I mean, they're in the dark. I mean, not as much as like the con was, but
yeah.
So it's kind of hard sometimes to recognize that from a reader standpoint. Because like, I know all these things. How do they not know?
Yeah.
So they don't know anything. So that's why they're like curious. Like, well, what happened here that made him go crazy?
Right.
So Gilliman says, on balance, I agree with the Lion. Our enemy isn't here. It is somewhere in the necrosphere. You saw it, Sanguinius. You're done with you've done battle with it already. And Sanguinius says, look, you're not talking me out of going. I'm going to go down there. So he speaks to one person in the war that has lived inside uncertainty. He says, I must speak with Conrad. I must finally bring you back into the story.
Oh, me.
So he, remember, had his resonance stopped for a moment, but it came back, and he's kind of enjoying it because he's so used to it. And Sanguinius comes to him. Curze already knows why before he even says anything. He says, so, you have come for me. And Sanguinius says, what's waiting down there for me? And Curze says, I don't know. My gift doesn't work that way. But it's kind of, he said, it's unsettling to me as well. But what he does know, though, is that Sanguinius says before he can say it, is that I believe fate is down there. Curze says, I think you're right. Sanguinius tells the Lion, Sanguinius tells him the Lion means to bombard the planet from orbit. And the future around that fact splits Curze's sight, branches that multiply fast and he can track them. Basically, he's like, if he does that, then everything gets crazy. And Sanguinius says, because you do not die on Davin, neither do I. So that's why I'm taking you with me. So Sanguinius orders Curze's guards prepare for transport. He says, we're going down there and looking at it together. And, the Lion can't do anything about it. Even he says, like, no, you can't do that. He's like, well, okay, too bad. I'm doing it anyways. And Sanguinius says, I can't order your guys down there either, though. So Sanguinius says, do what your honor demands. Know that the responsibility for what happens now is mine, not yours. These events are beyond your ability to control. So he basically knocks these guards out because they won't let him take Curze. They're like, hey, you can't, that's the Lions. He's like, no, too bad. You can't know what to do. So he chains Curze up, big chains. He drags him through the ship. running. So he'll catch him. He'll probably drag him by his feet so his head hits the ground, And Lion's reinforcements trying to stop him. And Curze is laughing the entire time. He's loving it. And he says, "You do your very best to bring me joy, brother." And Sanguinius tells every Blood Angel planet side is about to, "Okay, that's it, I'm blowing the planet." So he says, if we get down there before he can shoot it, he won't do it. So the Lion is steaming now because his brother openly defied him, taking a war criminal and dropped troops on the planet that he was about to blow up. And he's like sitting there thinking, I could just do it right now. I could just kill both of them and be done with it. But the Lion says, "Captain, prepare to cancel the bombardment." He says, "Prepare for mass landing. We're taking Davin." I mean, because look, Curze and the Sanguinius don't die here. We know this. Spoiler alert. The Lion storms up the bridge and ends up somewhere that he can't really explain why he is. He's in Curze's cell, and he's staring at the manacles that his brother was hauled out of. And he holds up his hands, and his hands are shaking. He says, "So close." And he's like, realized he became so close to killing Sanguinius. And he's kind of words like, "I was that close. Like, I can't believe I almost did that. Wait a minute. Something's not right here." So he calls Guilliman, and he says, "Reboot, beware of yourself. Do not trust your impulses. Be sure of your decisions. I almost destroyed us." So we start to realize there's something is affecting these people here. Like the fact that he was that close to killing his own brother. Like, because you go back, I mean, to Imperium Secundus, this never happened. Whatever, like that's crazy to think about. So Guilliman takes the warning and he takes the things out, the daggers out. He's like, "You're right. I took those and I shouldn't have." So he sets them out and he goes to smash them with his power glove that he always, we showed it before the pictures, is a giant gauntlet. It's called the Hand of Dominion. And he says the theoretical is simple. They're poisoned, so I need to end them, right? And he smash them into pieces. And he says, but destroying them now might be exactly what the enemy wants. So he's struck. So he's hanging his fist up and he's like, I don't know what to do. And he remembers we all walk the assigned path. So he remembers the voice that's what the navigator said to him, those corrupted navigators. And he says, and the book says, no, he walked according to his duty, but his will was still his own. So he brings the Hand of Dominion down and smashes the things apart, breaks them into dust, and just keeps smashing until they're less than dust, just gone. And he knocks down the door and finds Gorod and a squad of Invictus Guard already running towards him. And he says, I fought the first battle of this campaign. I was victorious. He says, it's time we descend to Davin and stood by the side of my brothers. So they're all getting ready to go.
Okay.
They're all feeling the doubt creep in.
Mm-hmm. Is this like, kind of warp presence affecting them, or is it like...
It's in a way, but it's also just they can't trust anything anymore, right? They, like, who is on Horus's side? What if this, like, sometimes obvious traps are obvious, but sometimes the more subtle ones, like, oh, I set that up from the beginning for you to do that, and since you did that, now this works, type of thing.
Right.
So, but then they're like, so it's become this typical thing of it's like, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Sanguinius said, we just got to do it. And they're all like, yeah, all right, fine. It's just, so it's like, because Sanguinius is always the clearest minded. Not always, obviously, sometimes goes a little crazy, but he is like the light in a way that they're like, okay, if he's doing this, probably right, because he's the most faithful in a way.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, to be fair, I can understand being a little sketched out by the Lion. I feel like he's a little...
Oh, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
You never know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So they all land, and they fill the crater around this temple that has been dead for centuries, right? It's been that long since that whole thing happened. And a colossal redstone octagon, the dome cracked open. These serpent-carved pillars are eroded. It is ancient. And Sanguinius reads the piece into it, and he says, this is truly the eye of the storm. And Curze says, you are feeling lyrical. He says, does that mean you're ready to be swept away by the winds of fate? And the Lion says, nothing will be defeated because there's nothing here. The last time. And he says, I'm still looking anyway. So they march in, chamber after chamber, walls scoured smooth by, let's say, centuries of sandstorms. The frescoes worn down. I mean, it's nothing. It's ruins. And the Lion's patience starts running out. But deep inside, they find a narrow cylindrical chamber where under the dome, inside a single black-red slab of stone, stained by what could only be a wound. And all four of them, Sanguinius, Guilliman, Lion, and Curze, still in chains, stand around it, look at the same stain. And Lion says, he lay here. And Sanguinius strikes the altar with the pommel of his blade in carmine, and the ring of metal and stone is almost too loud, right? It's the loudest thing the room's heard in a long time. So Sanguinius says, this is where fate took shape, here. The war began here. And he says it out loud, and silence. The Lion says, Sanguinius, we've been deluded again, both of us. He said, but he's not angry anymore. He is worried, right? That like something is worse. And like Davin corrupted Horus, and finished its purpose right then and there, right? Whatever energy that corrupted Horus is gone. So whatever is actually hunting them is back in the necrosphere. And basically says, we need to get that thing. Whatever is just this pilgrim thing been chasing us, we need to take care of it. And Curze, still watching it in his chain, says, in response to Lion saying we need to get everybody off the planet, says, do you? The future is written, reboot. You can shake the bars of our cage all you want. They will not bend. And Sanguinius refuses. He says, something is still missing. We need to find it. Look around. It's here, I swear. And he's basically having this argument out loud. He is thinking it through as he's speaking. Basically going through, doing a little Sherlock Holmes here, right? He's having a little mind palace.
Yeah.
He's looking at all the different things. And he says, if he was tempted here and chose to fall, which means it was a choice, not a certainty. He had to make a choice. And it's like in the same war has already produced two counterexamples, right? The Lion came within a word of bombardment and didn't do it. And the Guilliman faced a decision of his own against the Blades. Neither man's fate went the way it was supposed to. And Sanguinius says, you are wrong, Conrad. I know the future can change. And, Curze says with this again. So he tells his brother what he's never said to anybody else out this chamber, that he's always on the precise moment of his death, the same way Curze knows his. And then on Piran, inside the Manufactorum, he was shown every version of that death but one. And he chose the one where he lives instead. And Curze goes quiet for a moment. He's stopped moving entirely. He's kind of stunned. And Sanguinius names what this room is. He says, fate can be altered here. This is where Horus's destiny was created. It was inevitable that he would come here. He says, the Emperor could not have foreseen Davin because Davin is the only place in the galaxy built specifically to let the future bend. And all of a sudden, revelation floods into him. Every severed thread and every knot of fate layered out. And Sanguinius says, I will change the future. This is an anime thing to say. I will change fate. And as he says this, a vertical slit rips open in the north wall. Then a horizontal one, the lines lash out an 8-pointed star that widens into a sphere of pure white light, and then to the shape of a doorway. And something moves inside it, flickering too fast to resolve into any single form. And Guilliman and the Lion kind of move back from this thing. And they raise their weapons. And Guilliman says, it's a trap, Sanguinius. And Guilliman says, there's nothing else it can be. The Lion says, we were manipulated. The enemy misleads you too. And Sanguinius doesn't argue, right? He's like, obviously. And Curze has a different look on his face. He has something of a real horror on his face. And basically realizing, maybe I was wrong. He says, you cannot do this. And then Sanguinius says, I must. And Sanguinius walks in the light alone. And the last thing he hears before he steps into it is Curze screaming, no, I can't be wrong. So Guilliman tries to grab Sanguinius before he goes in, but right before he can't reach him in time, an inch away, a hair's length away, and it closes behind the portal. Sanguinius went to Molech, and he's getting the power of the Emperor, right? And Ascelion tries to follow his Primarch through, and Guilliman says he's orders him back, and Lion says he's beyond our reach, whatever he's doing in there. So Curze is in pain, and Guilliman's pressing him for like anything, like what's going on there? You have the vision, use your vision. And Curze says, I don't know. And he's like, I'm scared for the first time. And then it's like, why are you so afraid, Curze? And he says, because he might succeed. And what if I'm wrong? No, stop. My whole thing is knowing this. My whole thing. You can't. That's like my whole thing. So Sanguinius is back on Horus's flagship, of course. And he's fighting the fight that he's fought in his own head 1,000 times now. And he is choosing the one where he wins, right? He holds on to it. And he keeps choosing it again and again and again, making it stronger each time he chooses it, making it happen more often than not. And Horus dies and Sanguinius dies, but reality keeps flickering beneath them faster and faster until they become the same thing at once in a way. It's warp stuff, don't worry about it. But he keeps choosing the one where he wins. He doesn't let the dark side get him. All of a sudden, a tide of black surges up beneath him and swallows him into this thing. And he hears this voice that says, this is the choice. Let me guide your hand against Horus. Turn from me and behold what will come. And the voice is showing him what refusing costs. Basically, first is Baal, right? We talked about Baal is his home world. Mm-hmm. And that the thirst consumes his entire legion at once. His sons are tearing at each other, every mortal in the fortress monastery apart. Blood rising until it drowns the towers and floods the world into an ocean. And then Terra itself, the Imperial Fist's own flagship, right? The phalanx crashing into the palace, mutated titans walking through the ruins, and no sign of anywhere of the Emperor. And the voice says, this is the choice. Fall to Horus, and the light falls with you. And the voice is pulling him out farther, past worlds, past systems, to where you can see the whole galaxy from outside it. And the Ruinstorm is no longer a storm, but a maelstrom that is swallowing the stars themselves. Demonic fortresses eclipsing suns, billions of mortals dying in endless night. Horus's own banner is barely registering the vision of it all, as if the war master's victory isn't even the point anymore. as the reality itself basically is dying, right? This is the end times. And the voice says, this is the choice if you refuse my aid. And Sanguinius says, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing what you say. So he turns away from this, and he drives the blade and Carmine straight into the dark. And the dark tears open, and the light floods back in. And what follows is this triumph. And Sanguinius is standing over Lordgar's body on Terra. The word bearers are broken, Perturabo kneeling in surrender. Guilliman and the Lion lead the rest of their fallen brothers to him in chains. And the Imperium's fleets have grown larger than the Great Crusade ever was, and every one of them, in every color loyal legion, moves like a sword in Sanguinius' own hand. It says, this is the choice, follow me to triumph. So he follows all the way to the guard he's never seen before. A cloister off the Imperial Palace's throne room, fountains shaped like orreries of every loyal Primarch's conquest. And they're waiting for him as the Emperor. And the Emperor says, I have tarried long enough. And the Emperor tells him the crusade is over, and vigilance now must be eternal. That his own hubris and hiding the truth of chaos in his sons caused more than he can undo. Right?
So true.
I mean, give this man a true.
Yes.
Because, and then he asks Sanguinius to take up the role he already carried once willingly out of duty. You're the new Emperor now, Sanguinius. I can't do it anymore. Like that Emperor really say that.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
He says, you are the angel. You have the wings of divinity. Long may the Imperium soar with you. But then Sanguinius said, wait a minute. Divinity? My dad would never say divinity. You're lying. And then things like, man, idiot. I shouldn't have said that. And Sanguinius starts noticing everything else doesn't fit. He's like, what cloister? What war? The war is over fast. The Emperor gives up, takes the blame. He would never. And he's like, you are not my father. And the Emperor vision thing says, yeah, you're right. None of this is real. None of this has happened yet. Whether it does depends entirely on what you choose right now. And the Emperor does something worse. He offers Sanguinius his own throat. He says, all right, kill me then. Prove it. And Sanguinius says, you are a lie. And the cloister starts coming apart around them the moment he says, columns cracking, fountains toppling. The voice keeps pressing anyways. And it says, would you kill the Emperor? And Sanguinius draws the blade of Carmine and swings it at his father's throat, certain in the same breath that he's damning himself as the worst traitor in the galaxy's history. I don't know. Horus is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's like, well.
And also, those two Primarchs, who knows what they did?
Yeah, but that, and then also I'm like, you're not like a whole demon though. So it's like, are we really that bad?
He's got a demon inside him now, that red thirst.
Yeah.
So the blow misses, right? A staff bristling with blades catches the sword and is gripped by a clawed hand the size of a shield. And the cloister tears apart and mails from a violet, red, and green light. The Emperor's gone. In his place stands something with multiple twisted horns, a torso studded with eyes that watch Sanguinius. And his tongue uncoils long as a serpent, and he gives itself a name. It says, by paths of 8 and gods of 4, I am Madail the Undivided. By fates of 8 and edicts of 4, you shall serve, and you shall be the angel of ruin. So Madail's back.
Okay. So he's been kind of corrupting him with these.
He's been the Pilgrim.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Because when we talked about Madail on Pythos, that was like this super demon type thing.
Yeah.
That was so powerful. Yes.
Okay. And so he's been kind of giving Sanguinius these visions of like, oh, how could I not die? How could I,
right. He's been messing with the whole time.
Okay. It was him.
It was me, Austin. So all of a sudden, Calibus, who is back up in the ship, is hunting a contact that the radar's caught for a fraction of a second. And this other guy corrects, it's a waste. The real war is on the surface. Calibus says, no, there's something here. And he says, we will meet the Pilgrim at last. And then he realizes, yes, something enormous is moving in the shell, and it breaks through seconds after being detected. And the hail comes through first, a demonic howl wrapped in something underneath it that Calibus recognizes, that it wants to be recognized. Like this thing wants to be seen. It's letting out like a big vision blast. And Calibus says, warn the fleets, the Pilgrim is here. It is the Verritus Ferrum. So remember the ship, Atticus' ship. It is, when it reveals itself, its hull is bristled with iron spikes and pustules that burst and reseal, and it has become, the sanctuary has become living gargoyles the size of frigates. And basically, the demons took this ship and made it this giant demon ship.
Okay, so that was the ship on, was it Pythos?
Yes.
Right? Okay,
The Shattered Legions had taken from Isfon 5.
Okay.
So yes, the demons took it over and made it into the Pilgrim. And Madail's, it's Madail's ship, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he needs one. I think he's going to teleport around, but whatever.
I was like, do demons really need a ship? But okay. It looks cool, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's fun to have.
Yeah.
I guess it gives him more guns. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Kurek says, our struggle has been a long and honorable one. I am proud of what we have done. And Calibus says, they are what they must be. We attack. So the Verritus doesn't come alone. Ship after ship pours out of the shell behind it. And his vessels that are lost to Salamanders, Raven Guard, Iron Hands, each one of them logged as destroyed or banished in the warps is Fun 5, now returning as corrupted ships. So it is a huge fleet. And the necrosphere itself starts contracting, basically closing in around them, giving them a whole minefield to move through. And 3 legions are trying to fight off these ships, mostly the Pilgrim, because if they can destroy that, then The rest will break down, hopefully.
Right.
So, word of the Verritus Pharaoh reaches Line and Guilliman inside the ruined temple, and they have to wait because Sanguinius is in there. We can't leave them. And the Lion is waiting there so long that he basically smashes the altar with his fist. And he says, I am ready to go. Is Sanguinius making us wait? And Guilliman notices something a little more different. He says, the portal changed once the Verritus appeared. Whatever's active again in this system, it started the second Sanguinius walked through that light. So whatever, it was a trigger mechanism. So neither of them believe the brother is dead. He says, it's inconclusive. We don't know. Death of that size should have left a mark, right? If Primarch dies, you feel it.
Right.
So the Lion says, we cannot wait any longer. And so they drag Curze out, and he's still staring at the portal, waiting. And Holdwind and Redlost hauling him out from the chamber. Holdwind, Redlost, right? Those are the Dreadwing. These guys here.
Yeah.
Deathwing, Dreadwings, They use those evil weapons, right?
Yeah.
So the Lion and Guilliman attack the portal itself. Open up portal. And it just doesn't really do much, but actually, well, it does do a little bit. They don't break it apart, but the gate starts shooting lightning at them. They say, stop breaking this. And the Lion's like, the gate feels our blows. So that means we really can get through it. So, they keep trying it, and they realize like why they're targeting Sanguinius specifically. And Lion says, because he is the angel, right? He is the most, like we talked about before, the symbol of the Imperium. You break him or kill him, then you kill the Imperium.
Right.
Right. So that's what Horus wanted to do, Cygnus Prime. And Erebus was like, you idiot. You just didn't want him on our side because he was going to do whatever. And then Horus was like, yeah, what about this? Cuts his face off.
So I know we talk about Sanguinius kind of like the face of the Imperium for the Space Marines.
Right.
Was Horus like that before he was corrupted?
I mean, he's a War Master, so yes. Like, he was he's your Uncle Sam, right? Like, but the problem was it didn't last long enough for it to even get started. Like, Sanguinius was like that from day one. Once they found Sanguinius, they were like, oh, like, you're perfect.
Yeah.
So we're going to use you as, like, the poster boy. I mean, Guilliman, too, a little bit, but Guilliman was more of just, like, a logistical guy.
Yeah.
But Horus only was, like, War Master for, like, a couple of years before it all got ruined. So it wasn't even enough time for it to, like, spread enough for everybody to, like, get used to it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm curious, like, why choose Horus as War Master then, right?
Because the thought is that Horus represented all of the best attributes of the Emperor. And the number one thing was like his ability for warfare. And so that's why he's War Master. Like, he fought wars better than anybody else. He had the best mind like that. So if he's War Master, then he can make the Great Crusade go even better. And that's the problem is now, since he's evil, he can fight a war against the Emperor just as well. Like, nobody else could plan like Horus can. Like, Horus Rabo, absolutely not. Fulgrim, look what happened, Yeah. So it's just like Horus was the best pick he was the best of the best, right?
Okay. Yeah. Best for like a general type of position. Okay. Yeah.
Because like Guilliman maybe, but Guilliman just doesn't think like that, So yeah, Horus had the best war mind, which is what you needed to get the Great Crusade wrapped up.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was like, if everybody's like, oh my gosh, Sanguinius is so awesome, it's so cool, like why not make him?
And everybody thought it was going to be Sanguinius too, but the whole thing was Emperor was like, it can't be because it has to be Horus instead. Like, because Sanguinius is like too good to be War Master in a way. Like, you have to stay as this propaganda figure more than an actual boots on the ground war guy like Horus is. So yeah, I mean, you'll see as you get through the books kind of how they saw Horus. Like, everybody respected Horus as well, so there's no convincing. Whereas some people didn't like the Sanguinius as much. Like, Curze always had a problem with Sanguinius. Curze doesn't really like Horus either, but he's like, he gets, he's fine with it.
Yeah.
Especially because you see that a lot of them have different reactions during the Olenor thing. Some of them disagreed with it, but they were like, it makes sense though.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, most of them would say if you had to pick anybody, it was going to be Sanguinius. And that's why Guilliman picked Sanguinius when he showed up to be the new Emperor. Because he's like, well, can't be anybody else.
Yeah.
Definitely can't be you, the Lion. Too sneaky.
Yeah.
So yes. So eventually the portal opens up and shapes start pouring out of it. And something even larger. A 6-legged spider-shaped demon fused of muscle and machine metal. And one of his legs hits the Lion in the chest before he can even react and knocks him across the room. And Guilliman gets knocked down as well, thrown to the wall hard enough that it breaks the stone. And the demon forces its whole way through this portal, smashing what's left of the walls to get through, and charges both Primarchs. So they got to deal with that. So back to Sanguinius. He's back in the Material as well, but yet in the worst place. He's a mile-wide deck built from smoldering skulls, galleries 1,000 feet high, hung with banners of tanned human skin. An 8-pointed star carved in the deck itself, wide enough to form its own dome. Thousands of demons crowd the galleries, and Madail presses him back with a bladed staff. And when the horde swarms in, it isn't to kill him, right? Claw hands are dragging him down and hold him like hold him down basically. And he's immobile, and his weapons are basically captured. And one creature stabs a pincer into his neck and starts whispering to him in weird language. And he's like, he probably feels like a welcome. They're trying to get me in here. So Madail doesn't gloat, right? It starts preaching to him. And every faction of demon in this hall is listening, like they're listening to their own war master. And like I remember we're going all back to Cygnus Prime, how Curze offered the bargain, and Cabana just wanted blood, right? And the two of them could barely stand each other. But Madail is commanding all these demons at once. Like he has this power over these demons, unlike any other demon. Even Cabana didn't have this power. He was a greater demon of Khorne.
Okay.
And Madail says, "You shall serve by reigning, serve as power." And lifts his arms up, and it says, "You have seen wonders. You have seen the works of faith, the works of my faith. I travel in glory, and glory blossoms where I pass." It says, "By wrath and chains, by vice and plague, I am the bringer of truth and the proof of belief. I mark the path and forge the way. By 8 to 4, I bring the angel. I am unity of chaos. I serve Tzeentch and Khorne and Slaanesh and Nurgle. I am the conduit of a single purpose. I am the prophet and you are the fulfillment of the will of the gods." So he is chaos undivided champion.
Okay. So he's kind of like I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago when we kind of introduced Madail, but like he's kind of like the first murder demon where he's not aligned.
He's not aligned, but he gets all 4 chaos gods like just how much power he has, so they all help him in a way that he needs.
Okay.
Which is rare because like Horus has that right now, but also in the same way he doesn't because they're taking advantage of Horus.
Right.
Whereas Madail, they actually are like, "Yo, you're great. Like you're so powerful, and you can do whatever we want."
Yeah. Are there a lot of those kind of demons that are like?
I mean, probably maybe a dozen.
Okay.
And maybe probably even less. Honestly, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's just so rare to become that powerful. Even Draconian, really. I mean, he is the rarest of the rare in the way he was created.
Right.
It was just like every murder ever coalesced into a single being. Like Madail, I don't really know where he came from.
Yeah.
Usually every demon has like a reason they show up, like how Draconian was like the first murder, and every murder after that coalesced. Doesn't really say what Madail is like made of, like what emotion created him.
Yeah. So I was thinking about Draconian. I feel like there's like no way, kind of how he was described, like that he would be able to be beaten, right? Because like,
I mean, he almost took out the Emperor. Yeah, no, I mean,
yeah,
and the Emperor said, "No, we can't kill him."
Right. If he gains power from like every murder committed, and like the Space Marines like bomb entire planets, like
that's the issue, right? Is that every murder ever that isn't out of like survival gives this thing power. It's like, well, that's not good.
Yeah.
But also, like, since that's why all the chaos gods are so powerful, right? For every murder ever, Khorne gets power. I mean, that's infinite.
Yeah.
For every sickness or disease or stagnation, Nurgle gets power. Infinite.
Yeah.
Every change, plan, or idea is Tzeentch. I mean, how are you going to stop that? Right?
Yeah.
Slaanesh is the perfection, indulgences, lust, envy, jealousy, all that stuff. It's like, yeah, so it's like these things exist. Like chaos gods aren't physical forms necessarily. They're just like the coalescence of feeling. So that's the problem, is that you can't really kill a feeling.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in D&D, Vecna is like a personification of death. Like he is an aspect of death. So to kill him completely, you have to kill death. So you can't do that.
Like how do you,
by killing death, then you can't kill him. So he's almost created this loop that's like, yeah, I'll never die.
Yeah.
Unlike Stranger Things, which try to have you believe. Anyways, so yes, they got him locked up here, and Sanguinius spits acid at him because they can do that. They don't do much, but they can spit acid. Sanguinius says, "I am not what you will have me be. I am he who will destroy you." And Madail says, "Nah, I don't think you will, though." And Sanguinius says, "I will fight Horus with my own strength. I will not choose the lie you have shown me. I would give my life for my father 1,000 times." So the demon presses his staff light into his eyes, and he says, "Look again. Look more to the visions." And he sees the visions, or the surrender of the imperial palace, thrones, tributes, armies bursting into flame at a gesture. Himself having something closer to becoming a god, right? And he tears free of each one in turn, and getting better at beating through these illusions. But the problem is the one of the father and stood in front of him at the cloister, right? That's the one that still keeps getting him, because and he starts hearing a sound, though, a distant rhythmic boom, like something like battering an iron against the door. And the visions start cracking along with the seam showing, and Sanguinius rejects every single one of them at once. And Madail says, "Will you die then? Will you die?" And Sanguinius says, "I will." And the hammering at the portal goes loud enough that Madail's congregation notices, like, what is that knocking? And all of a sudden, a multicolored light breaks through, and Madail ignores it. He's like, "Don't worry about that right now." He says, "Will you die? Will you die?" And then Sanguinius says, "I will." And then eventually Madail turns from him and tells his horde, "Go take care of that portal. It's annoying me." And he leaves only enough demons behind to witness the surrender they're still waiting for. That's the opening that Sanguinius needed. And eventually he breaks the fingers that are holding him down, and he takes the spear of Celestial, lights it on fire, and burns the demons around him. The Blading Carmine comes free and cuts a path through the rest. And he rises up on his own wings, knocking the horde back, and is untouchable now by anything Madail tried to offer him. So and he launched himself directly at the demon, and they're fighting in this flash of light.
Mm-hmm.
So back in orbit, Calibus is taking this Sthenelus and a diagonal run, because he knows, like, if I get hit, I'm going to die. So he use hit and run attacks. And he says, we have time for one attack before we are destroyed. And he says, but let it be our most ferocious. For Ferris Manus and the 10th Legion, for Dern Atticus, 111th Clan Company, we will strike against the corruption of the machine. So every gun Sthenelus has fires at once, and for a few seconds, the barrages hit it Verritus fair enough completely. And Calibus like, oh, maybe I got him. But then he realizes when the flames clear, there is not a single wound. And one small punctured eye oozes shut and then heals. And it's like, oh no. And the Verritus answers back with a weapon specifically made for this, a black lightning that cuts Sthenelus in half. So this thing doesn't even shoot cannons anymore. It's got lightning. And it just blows apart, and the Verritus closes its jaws over what's left. Basically, this ship also has a mouth, and it just eats the rest of it. Yeah, it's brutal. So
I'm curious. So I know we've talked about, like, kind of demons and, like, how you can't really, like, kill them unless you have, like, the true name stuff. But, like, a space marine can still, like, fight a demon and, like, at least banish it for a time being, right? Like, it'll go back to respawn or whatever.
So yeah, I mean, if they kill a demon, it would get banished and then have to wait to come back.
Right.
So they still could hurt these things, but this ship is just so unbelievable right now that's like they can't even hurt it enough to make it get banished.
Right, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, is this ship like a demon now? Like,
kind of. It's like a weird living demon ship.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. I mean, this kind of stuff happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Demons kind of just manifest however they do. And if they, like a corrupted machine spirit, can take a hold of the ship, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if Madail gets his hands on it. So.
Right. Yeah. First thing I was like, would this, like, not would it be counted as, like, greater? I guess, like, would the ship have a true name now? Like, all that kind of stuff. But
in a way, I don't know. Just because the true name stuff is usually, it's weird. Because even the Emperor has a true name. And it's like, he's not a demon, but he has, like, a true name in the way of, like, because he has, like, a warp presence. I don't know. It gets weird, the true name stuff. So, I mean, or if you just kill this thing with, like...
Right, that's what I was going to say. Like, like, if they just keep shooting it with, like, a missile, it's like, is that really going to do much?
Obviously not.
Right, yeah.
They had one attack and it failed miserably. But luckily, Calibus, Cruex, and Lebanus leave on a Thunderhawk and watch the ship die. They say, well, we got to go somewhere else. And Cruex says, we fight still. And they say, and Lebanus says, the flesh is weak. Calibus says, victorious out mortis, basically victory or death. And Calibus turns his gunship and straight into the fire and gets one shot off before he gets taken, which is like, why do you think that would work? No, my little tiny gunship can do.
I got this.
Okay. Watch this. Just smacked away. So as those little pieces of the Sthenelus are drifting apart, metal tendrils reach across and grab it and pull it into itself and builds on top of it. So kind of get the idea of what this thing is. It's a like a blob, the blob type thing. What would you call it? Like it's not slime, but it's
kind of like the wall in the last episode, right? It keeps, like, building on itself.
I think what that thing's called, but like, it's basically something eats something and then it gets bigger. And it consumes its mass and absorbs it into the hive mind mass, whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, the blob is
right. So eats that ship up and then grows. And the 3 legions are firing at this thing altogether. And it's working a little bit more than what the other people try to do. And the smoke clears, and every barrage carved into it is already healing, though. Brass, bone, growing back faster, and they can shoot it away, right? It's their regeneration. Too much. And it starts driving straight into the heart of the Ultramarines formation, like a battering ram. It's like, if I even get close to... Oh, like the thing. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
The thing, it just grabs you, pulls you in, and then you're part of it.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking Kirby.
In a way.
Kind of, yeah.
Kirby got bigger.
Yeah.
So they're trying to shoot it, and it just doesn't die. It keeps growing back. spines and tendrils, and it starts shooting with the ships that it's absorbed into itself at these people. And it's just this infection, right? And it's getting pulled in, and it's becoming bad quickly.
Yeah.
Behind the Verritus, the necrosphere itself is also collapsing in, and it is colliding with some ships as well, breaking them apart because it's just, there's huge, massive bones. So the Verritus pulls up against the Samothrace, and the shipmaster says, launch, Altuzier says, launch cyclonic torpedoes. Because, if this can blow apart a planet, maybe it can blow apart this thing.
Yeah.
So they do, and they shoot them close enough that there's no, they're basically in this thing's mouth, and they shoot these missiles. And it hits them, and the length of Verritus Ferrum convulses like liquid, and then fire explodes out of it. So, hey, maybe it's dead. But before we figure that out, we're going to go back to the temple. So Guilliman and Align are fighting this spider demon, and Guilliman cuts off its sword arm, severs its sword arm with the hand of dominion, basically punches it off, and shooting it with his bolter. And the lion is jumping onto his back and cutting into his neck with his wolf blade. He says, I have hunted greater beasts than you on Caliban, and I slew them all. I don't know what he did, though. Caliban line was pretty crazy, but I don't know. This thing is like a giant spider demon.
Yeah, a little different.
A little different. I guess some of the Calibanite beasts supposedly were warp things that like seep through, but I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking too much about it. The line's being cool.
Yeah.
So the Guilliman is like watching this thing fight, and he's trying to kind of get an opening, and eventually he punches with the hand dominion straight into his thorax, rips his heart out kind of thing, and the demon collapses, and the wolf blade cuts off his head, and this demon stops, but then is dead, drop dead. But there's still demons coming out of this gate still. And Gorod warns Guilliman, there's just too many, and Guilliman says, we have to hold our position. We stay in this hall, there is no retreat. And the temple itself starts breaking down around them. The whole structure is shaking with tremors. And from somewhere inside the gateway, they hear Sanguinius roar, and the Sanguinary Guard answer it as well. Let's get in there and help him. So Sanguinius takes to his wings, and Gather Horde can't follow him up. And Madail says, you do not die here. Death is later, forged in futility. Here destiny is remade. Here you will serve. So Sanguinius answers him with a spear of Telesto straight into his chest, hard enough to blind it for a moment. And its own psychic flame catches the demons around them on accident and burns them into ash. Whoops, friendly fire. And he carves a wound 50 feet long into one of this thing's living engine walls, igniting a firestorm that washes straight over Madail. And they're both bleeding now. Sanguinius' armor splits. Sanguinius splits Madail's armor down to his shoulder, and Madail grabs him mid-flight and slams him into the engine, and the teeth of the machine start chewing on him. And he tries to stab him with his staff, but then he hesitates. Remember, he's not allowed to kill him. He's like, I would have had you there, but I'm not allowed to kill you. You actually got lucky. So Sanguinius breaks free and climbs more for one of a diving strike, and Madail isn't finished talking, though. He says, be the angel of ruin, or the other ruin will come. It reaches for you now. And Sanguinius knows exactly what darkness Madail means, right? Because he has been feeling that shadow since the Red Terror, that red thirst, a red tear. The red thirst laser beam that hit him. And he starts to realize, like, you know what? Maybe you're right. So he starts to kind of tap into that to kill this demon. But the hesitation costs him the advantage as Madail summons a vortex of burning wind, and they meet in midair, and they're fighting in the air now. Dragon Ball Z fight. The blade in Carmine is cutting in Madail's shoulder. Madail's staff is punching straight through Sanguinius' chest. And Sanguinius drives a spear of Celeste into the demon's center eye, and both weapons are stabbed into each other. The vortex swing them together, and all of a sudden, like, everything kind of goes blank for Sanguinius for a moment. And Madail's voice keeps talking, but there's some pain in it now. And he says, the choice remains: fall and rise, or stand and fall. To fall is written, fall to power, fall to glory. And he grabs Sanguinius' skull with his free hand. And it says, see and know, see and choose. And then the blackness that was circling since the red tear finally shows him what it actually is. It says, this is the consequence, wrath of the future, flaw of origins, doom of sons. And he does Horus one more time. Watches iteration from outside himself. He understands what he's actually looking at. Is that this birth scream of a rage that outlives him by 10,000 years, which is passed down through his blood to every blood angel who ever follows after him. And he remembers now that the moment of red tear when he nearly killed Kano, this was the exact same thing. So this isn't the red thirst. This is something else. This is even worse. So, and he says, and it won't be the last for you and not for your legion. And Madail says, this is the choice. This is the choice. Make the choice. And because he told him, like, it's, Sanguinius' sacrifice will be his to carry. But the fact now that if he dies, it's going to affect every single one of his sons after this is something that's like a little more, wait a minute, I don't want that to happen, though. It's not a problem if I die, but if it costs my whole guys, then that's the issue here.
So if Sanguinius dies, all blood angels kind of get affected by
some curse.
Yeah, not the red thirst, but
no, this is a different type of curse.
Yeah, okay.
This is like even worse than the red thirst.
Interesting.
So, and then he can't quite deal with that, and the demon's kind of, oh, he's like, I got you now. I give you when I give you the full picture now, I got you. So eventually, this thunder that's been hammering the portal the whole time finally lands directly and tears Sanguinius and Madail apart, and they get pulled apart. Sanguinius comes up first. His weapons are still stuck in the demon, and he drags himself over to him, grabs both hilts, and hurls the impaled demon toward him rather than letting it recover. And Madail grabs his wings, and he says, "You will serve." And Sanguinius throws himself backwards, straight into the portal, and Madail, still holding on, comes with him, and they fall through together. And Sanguinius' torso ends up on the Delphos floor, while his legs are still on the Verritus Ferrum's deck. So what that portal was actually a portal to what is the Verritus Ferrum right now. So that hammering that he heard was them attacking Verritus Ferrum.
Right.
So they're both basically stuck between the two gateways here. And the Guilliman and Lion reach the threshold together, and Guilliman crushes Madail's wrist with the hand of dominion. Say, stop that. Stop. Hey, let him go. And the Lion bring the wolf blade down on him, and they're killing Madail, right? A 3-on-1 now. He's like, that's not fair. So Guilliman slams the hand down and keeps smashing Madail, and the Lion cuts off one of his hands, and Madail's grip on Sanguinius' wings finally breaks, and the demon tries to shoot fire out of every eye in his body out, and the blast catches the sanguinary guard and washes over the dark angels and ultramarines alike. It's burning through them, it's armor and soul. This is like soul fire. And as Kellyon, who we haven't talked about much, he fights his way back to the Primarch on just willpower alone. And the problem is Sanguinius is stuck in two realities at once. Half his body's on Delphos and half is on Verritus Ferrum. And he has this huge stab wound in his chest. And the spiritual is the only thing keeping Madail pinned at the seam between them. And every second he holds is a second the demon can't heal and can't retreat, can't do anything but get attacked. And as Kellyon reaches Sanguinius and reaches the vortex itself, his own armor is peeling away and from this effect. And as Kellyon says, "My lord, give me your hand." And Sanguinius says, "No, I must stay here." And he tells Guilliman what has to happen next. He says, "Reboot, leave me. Leave Davin now. I will hold the demon as long as I can." And then says to the Lion directly, "Now is the time. Destroy this world." And Madail says, "This is not your fate. Follow rule. You do not fall here." Now he's just coping. No, don't do that. Actually, don't blow up the planet. Actually, actually, no, don't do that. And Sanguinius ignores Madail. He's like, "Now you're just chatting." So everything that once Kellyon takes 2 steps back a bit, the angel starts to realize that the Black Rage, which is that curse, is already in the back of his mind. It doesn't matter what he does or dies of vengeful spirit. His sons are going to inherit the curse either way. And the curse is basically right, like you can't change fate. But what curse is wrong about is whether or not the sacrifice can still mean something. Not saving his legion from the doom that they already have, but saving the Imperium anyways. Basically, maybe I will die, but at least I'll help in my sacrifice. So he stays there. And there's a figure that kneels in front of Sanguinius. He sees a herald, sword raised, offering wordlessly to take his place. And Sanguinius understands what this is, somehow. And he remembers Maros, remember who turned the Red Angel, took his place on Cygnus Prime, became the worst thing that Sanguinius has to deal with, right? That I let one of my sons turn into this like demon forever.
Right.
And this is the opposite, right? This thing appears to him, and Sanguinius says, "No choice." And the herald nods and steps into the portal itself, and Madail, sensing the substitution, begs whatever it is to intervene. He says, "Save your servant, who trusts in you, O4. Because Madail is like, no, stop, don't do that. Don't kill me. Hey, wait, you can't leave. Help me, help." And nothing answers. And the herald plunges his sword down through this Madail, there's the wound he already had, and permanently the seam between realities. And the demon's eyes go blank, or he starts going blind. And the herald is standing between both worlds, wings spread out. And Sanguinius says, "Son of my blood, son of my hope." And now this person doesn't have a name or even who he is. All you know him as is as the Sanguinor. Is that it kind of gets the name later on. It is this guy. That's his mini. It looks like such a pain to paint.
Yeah.
Put together with the wings and the papers. But this is who that is. They never really say who it is. I mean, if you go to the wiki, right, there's a page for who he was, but this is who saves him. It's one of the little toes on his armor.
Yeah.
But yes, this guy shows up out of nowhere and is like, "I will take the sacrifice."
Interesting. And so he is a
blood angel, but he's also not, because nobody knows who he is.
Right.
But he's like the spirit of the angels. He's like a warp entity, but he's also not. It's very weird. He's like a spirit, like a benevolent warp spirit. which is weird because those don't exist, but this one is. It's like a help. It's kind of like Chulcha in a way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I actually want to help you. I'm not evil like the rest of them. So he shows up and says, I'll take the sacrifice.
Interesting. And I know you said the wiki has more info on kind of who he is. Like, is it someone we've encountered already? I don't know if you've looked.
I think so. I can't remember his real name though. But yeah, basically there was a blood angel who died and the spirit took over his body and became the Sanguinor. But the body is of that person. But it's kind of like Tormageddon, where like the spirit took over the body and uses the body instead. But it's a warp spirit that is kind of in charge of this guy now.
Okay.
I can't remember who it is though. But he doesn't really ever talk. He doesn't really ever do anything but show up in the times of the blood angel's greatest need. And this is one of those times.
Okay. So he just kind of shows up, kills Madail, and it's like, okay, see you.
Right. Yeah, so he kills Madail, and Delpho starts breaking apart. The walls are buckling, the dome opens up, and they see the sky, and it looks not great. It's full of bones and Verritus Ferrum. And the line confirms, which I guess all I know, is that the Verritus Ferrum is basically eating apart their fleets and survived the cyclonic torpedo hit. It did some damage, but it still repaired it.
Yeah.
And Madail says one more thing before he gets killed by the Herald. He says, the rage will come. And Sanguinius, Ascalion is there and asks, what is he talking about? And Sanguinius says, I can't tell you. If I do, I have to explain it, and that might make it bad.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later when we're off this planet. So the Red Tier turns away from the suicide one at the last second at the Verritus to buy time for the evacuation. And the combined fleets are, at this point, have already lost a third of their strength trying to fight this giant monster ship. And because every time it kills one of them, it has another guy on their side.
Right.
So Carminus is watching transports. Oh, Carminus watches and transports the gunships, lifts off Japan surface, and they are going zooming. And the Verritus Ferrum changes course to intercept. And a cruiser Incarnadine dies, gets munched on by one of these mouths. And Carminus says, target cyclonic torpedoes on the Temple Valley. So there's like, actually blow up the planet now instead. So Sanguinius holds a pattern over the ruined Delphos until the last gunship clears the surface. And he's watching the portal the entire time, knowing that the Sanguinor is still down there holding Madail in place. Basically stabbed the sword through him, holding him down. Didn't kill him, because these demons are very hard to kill, but he basically is pinned to the ground. He's, help, I'm down, I got ray gun, help.
Yeah.
And Sanguinius says, it must be now. Like, sorry, Sanguinor, but you're going to get killed. And the Verritus Ferrum is closing on him, guns firing, munching mouths. And Sanguinius says, launch torpedoes now, Carminus. Do it now. And they do. So every capital ship shoots a fleet of cyclonic torpedoes at once into the planet. A little overkill, but hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Everybody's super nuking this one planet.
Launch every single nuke now. So everything in Delphos around it vanished, and the whole surface turns molten, core takes strikes, it cracks the mantle apart, and comes inside out, explosion. It's a whole thing. And the Daemons' death cry goes out across the void. This whole planet, that origin of the whole war, this whole Horus heresy is physically erased. The shockwave actually goes out and actually hits some ships and destroys some of them. It's just such a massive explosion of just psychic force plus the bombs. And then a second detonation happens at the same time. And Sanguinius feels it as like a severing of timelines and possibly falling away all at once. And he realizes what's happening. That this is the actual real version of the blow he only faked on Piran. That the Verritus Ferrum screams with Madail's own voice as it comes apart, the hull splitting under its own pressure, and the wreckage collapses inward into a single point that swallows the ship's own remains. The shockwave from that implosion meets the shockwave from Davin's death, and together they scour the demon fleet and fractured necrosphere both to dust. Oh, run out, bro. It's a lot of reading. And every revenant ship loses whatever animated it and drifts into nothing. It's just, everything's dust. Cleared. This explosion hit the other explosion, did this like psychic explosion. They cleared the way.
Okay.
Madail's gone. Verritus Ferrum's gone. The bones are gone. Everything's clear.
Okay.
Yes. So, with that gone, the Ruinstorm is visible again. And it's still going. They didn't clear that, unfortunately. But it's broken open, but there's a small gap. A small little puncture right through. And it takes the same shape as the spear of that Sanguinius has. And through the gap, they see stars. And among the stars, they see a light that he can't quite totally get a lock on it, but he feels it. And he says, Terra. And the cry starts to the navigators and every ship, it spreads every crew member, Terra, Terra. Because they can see it now. They can see Terra, the Astronomicon. So they can lock in on it and get there. So he closes his eyes and lets the sound wash over him. For now, there are no screams, only triumph. We won. And he bought this moment, but at a price that nobody knows yet. And he holds on to it while he can, make him depressed yet again.
Yeah.
But the battle is won, and what's left is getting the road to Terra. And they all meet together, all the Primarchs. And the astropathic intelligence, however, said Horus left nothing to chance behind them. Basically, there are multiple blockades in between you, us, and Terra.
Mhm.
Like, it's not over yet. We still got to get through everything he set up. It has more than 3 legions worth of traitor strength, and no single warp jump can get past the Imperium's own instability to skip it. And Guilliman says, it's a trap, basically. And the Alliance says they'll tie us up. They'll seek to entangle the fleets and delay us until Terra has fallen. And Sanguinius doesn't treat it as an obstacle, right? He says the blockades do not stop. I will reach Terra because I must fight Horus. It is written. The fate of the Imperium will be decided then, even if the demon believed that. And Guilliman still resists the idea of predestination. He says, I don't know. I think we can still change that.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lion says, you know what? Maybe. Actually, maybe you're right. So Guilliman asks a question. He says, are we in your vision? Because he's been thinking about it. He said, you die, Horus kills you, but do you see me or the Lion there? And he says, no, you guys aren't there. And Sanguinius, yeah, wait a minute. Interesting. And Guilliman says, so after all this, we will not reach Terra. We will not fight our father's side. We hit the blockades ahead of the Blood Angels. We tie Horus's force up and set the other way around. We want interference for Sanguinius. And the Lion says, I will attack their bastions, reboot. I will destroy their homeworlds. That is the judgment that awaits them. Let it come now. Burn the corrupted planets. How many of our treacherous brothers will stay with the blockades if their worlds are directly threatened? So basically, we need to split up, and there's going to be tactics. So they kind of sit with that now. That's their path. So
the Lion's plan is to basically nuke all of the Traitor Legion's homeworld.
In a way, yeah. He's going to go around and attack, because it's the supply lines, right?
Yeah.
I cut up your supply lines. You're going to be, hey, he's blown up our manufacturers. Can you go there and figure that out? And then if Ultramarines are blowing up the blockade ships, then yes, everybody has an easy path right there. Yeah. So that's their plan. So Guilliman is kind of disappointed that he won't be able to go to Terra and fight with the Emperor. And the Lion is watching him, and he also feels a little upset too, but he feels at peace with it. That, this is what I must do. And Sanguinius says, when shall we 3 meet again? And neither of them answer, because they don't. And Sanguinius takes Curze. So what about me?
My time to be in the story yet? Or
hey, I got something to say. Yeah, I bet you do. So Sanguinius takes Curze to a chamber, to a cell, and it's a coffin. And Curze says, I think your faith has been rewarded. And Sanguinius doesn't correct him. And he says, really? I don't think you believe that on Davin, right? That he could change fate. And he's been turning it over, right? He's like, fate can be changed. The problem is, what does it cost, right? If I start going down that path, what will happen? So Sanguinius tests it directly on Curze. He says, you're not going to be executed. We're not going to kill you here. He says, he might forgive you, the Emperor. And Curze contempt kind of cracks open. And he starts to feel a little hope. Like, oh, well, maybe, right? If fate can be changed, maybe he will forgive me. Maybe he won't kill me. And then Sanguinius pushes Curze into the open coffin. He says, he might forgive you, but I don't. You cannot have the redemption. I won't let you. Rest certain in your destiny. You will have it. I'm not taking you to Father. And Curze reminds us, you can't kill me, though. I get killed by the Emperor's assassin. It's unavoidable. And Sanguinius says, yes, of course. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to jettison your coffin into the void. The assassin will find you when the time comes. It may be a millennia, Conrad. And then the hope in Curze's eyes goes out for good. And Sanguinius steals the stasis field behind him, and he basically shoots him out into space. It's like, wow, that's the worst thing you could have done. So Sanguinius is alone now, and he accepts that he will meet Horus in the vengeful spirit, exactly as is known. But what's changed is that he might still be possible. Horus was magnificent too once before all of this, that the man is still in there buried. The same spirit thrust that unmade Madail and cracked the Ruinstorm open isn't finished with what it can do. Basically says, if I try it on Horus, maybe then he can be cracked open and I can reach him again. So he opens this door, and the metal grinds open, and then it says, its reverberation sounded oddly down the hall as if it were the echoes of a scream yet to come. So, and that's where that ends.
Interesting.
So yes, any questions? That was a lot.
I don't know if I have questions. I thought it was funny that I think a while ago in you reading this, the line was like, oh, I've faced more, powerful things on Caliban. And I'm like, that's crazy. That planet, you just decided, like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, it's too dangerous. If he's struggling with Madail, he's like, Caliban is way scarier. Luther's got it. He's fine.
Yeah.
Which is funny too, because even now the line's like, I'm gonna go blow up the Trader Worlds. It's like, so when are you going back to Caliban?
Literally, he's like, all right, I'm gonna go do something else. It's like, you just forgot about that part.
We got the handles. I have no reason to worry.
It'll be fine. And it's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure Caliban feels great about that.
I mean, we know how they feel about it. They were right, actually. He's like, he's not coming back.
Yeah, that's crazy. Curze just getting
shot in his face. It's just so like, yeah, he may forgive you, but I don't.
Anyway, see,
what's that from? He's like, oh yeah, so what was it? Home Alone? Yeah, I may forgive you, but my Tommy gun don't.
Yeah.
And it's just launched him into space. Because he's like, yeah, you won't die because you're a Primarch. But you're going to be suffering for another 10,000 years.
Yeah. And now, looking forward, does it actually take that long for him to get assassinated?
It takes a while before, it's spoiler alert, but I mean, that's not really in the Horus Heresy stuff. But yeah, when Emshin shows up to take care of him, it is after the heresy. So he is out of the picture for the rest of the heresy. He is gone in the worst way possible.
That's crazy. Yeah, so that's what the third Primarch that's just kind of out of the picture now.
Right, because Ferrus Manus is dead.
Yeah, Alpharius is dead.
And yeah, Conrad is just gone, like it's just floating through space.
It's kind of sitting in a cloud.
All right, well, I guess I'll go to sleep.
Yeah.
I guess you gotta activate the little brain thing they have.
Oh yeah. But that's interesting. Okay. It's interesting how they were like trying to like, oh, can you change people? Oh, but it comes at a cost. Like that's kind of cool because I feel like Curze's whole thing is like, oh, you can't, and playing around with that's kind of fun.
Right, because it's like Curze, you can't change fate. It's always going to happen, and then Sanguinius like, yeah, I can't change fate, but I can work in it.
Yeah.
So maybe I can do something. Like maybe I do die, but I can change something when I die.
Yeah. Well, even then, he had the opportunity to change it, but it comes at too great of a cost.
Right.
Like, oh, have to fall to demon stuff, and they still get infected by this.
Right. So either way, I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, it was interesting. Now it's kind of, I guess, now really everyone is. I guess they're not at Terra, but like everybody who we kind of know who's going to be at Terra.
Right. It's kind of getting wrapped up. There's still a couple more things we have to cover.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at next couple episodes, and it's kind of out of order, but we're going to go back to Ravengard because I kind of missed covering them. Should cover them after Isfahan 5. So it's going to be a little weird when we talk about Ravengard, like, because he's on Terra right now, technically. So where is everybody else? Like, they're not here yet. Actually, this happened before all that.
Yeah, pre everybody.
Yeah, I've kind of forgot about Ravengard. Whoops. And we have to cover what Magnus has been doing.
Yeah.
So there's still a little bit left. Not much. Maybe 10 more books. Maybe less. Actually, maybe 5 more books, the Horus Heresy, and then we get into the Siege of Terra. And that's going to be a lot. So,
yeah. Though it is interesting to like kind of, I think you mentioned it, like how fast Horus gets corrupted. And it's like, wonder, did they know this was going to take this many books?
They must have not, right? Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, you need to write this thing in. It's the Horus Heresy, so Horus has to become evil pretty soon. But the Horus Heresy itself is 54 books. And the main series is 54 books.
Yeah.
Forget all the side novels and stuff. So it's like, he goes crazy within like the second book. It's just like, wow, that he really just jumps right into it. But it's like foresight, right? We didn't know it was going to take this long. We thought maybe it was just 5 books.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, the second book, that's not unreasonable. It's like, no, it's like probably 70 something books now. I mean, they're still writing books with the Horus Heresy. Like Dropsite Massacre just came out last year. And that's like Isfahan 5 told from like a subjective point of view.
Right.
Or objective point of view, where it's just like, this is what happened. Not through because most of Isfahan 5 they get before is through Fulgrim. And some stuff with like in Vulcan, when you get pieces of it through different books.
Right.
Dropsite Massacre is the full picture. It's actually a pretty good book. I like that one. Came out last year, and it's very just like fighting though, but it gives it interesting kind of like, this is the whole picture of what happened.
Yeah, like this is where all these people are during this event, not just like, okay, Fulgrim, because I imagine they went with Fulgrim for a lot of that because he kills Ferrus Manus.
You're right, because even in the Dropsite Massacre book, the last 30 minutes is like, and then Ferrus gets killed by Fulgrim. Basically, it's like an off-screen thing because like you already know what happened, so we don't need to cover that. So it's just covering everything that you don't know about, like what are the Salamanders doing, or what were the Iron Hands doing? You know what I mean? Because it's all little snippets. So
right,
which maybe I could have put that in that episode, but probably would have been way too long.
Yeah.
All right, if that's all, then we'll wrap it up there. If you guys like this one, like it. If you really like it, subscribe. And in the comments, post your favorite demon we've covered so far. There we go. There's been a lot of you. Samus, Madail, Kabanda, Kyrus, that great unclean one, Agilbor, the Keeper of Secrets that fought the Khan. We haven't actually talked about a Changer of Ways yet, or I don't know if it's called Changer of Ways, but the
Lord of Change.
Lord of Change. There you go.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about one of them. They haven't shown up yet.
Yeah.
But
And Drachnine. I feel like that might be my favorite.
I mean, Drachnine is pretty cool.
Just because he turned into a sword.
He turns into a sword for some
dude running through, the war forever.
Yeah, and then he gets thrown into raw Endymion. So and he almost take out the Emperor.
Yeah,
that
like
gives you a lot of points there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so put that in the comments. I read them all. I mean, we don't really get a lot, so it's very easy to read them. But anyways, till next time. Bye.